Greetings to all and welcome to another educational video of the Entrant YouTube channel. And today we will be studying about the Uyghur community and the Chinese oppression. The first slide will study about the location of Xinjiang province. So Xinjiang is a province or a state in China that is situated in the far northwestern region of China. You can see it over here. This is Xinjiang and the capital city of Xinjiang is Urumqi. It has a large number of Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other mostly Muslim groups. It is culturally, linguistically, and religiously more similar to Central Asia than the Chinese interior. As mentioned in the previous point, most of the communities in this region practice the religion of Islam, so which is very much different from the traditional Chinese culture and other Chinese traditional religions. Geography is dominated by the vast Taklamakan Desert in the center of the region, multiple mountain ranges, and traditional oasis cities in the south. The area is rich in natural resources and has some of China's largest oil deposits located in the SEZ BRI project of China. So SEZ means special economic zones or the regions that are meant for huge hyper developments of cities, etc. And BRI means the Belt and Road Initiative of China. So that actually impacts China's trade in global terms. And the Communist Party of China has ruled the region with a heavy hand since it took over control in 1949. To many Uyghurs, Xinjiang is known as East Turkestan, a name shared by two short-lived independent republics that existed before the communist takeover. So, this area of Xinjiang, which we see over here, it was earlier an independent state or a country during the time of USSR. So, it was under the USSR country during the Cold War region, and the below picture is the flag that is often upheld by the Uyghur community in this region, and this is known as the East Turkestan flag. And China has acquired this portion of land with force and with military power, just like how it did to conquer the region of Tibet. In the next slide, we will be seeing who are these Uyghur community. The Uyghurs are recognized as native to the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwest China. They are considered to be one of China's 55 officially recognized ethnic minorities. The Uyghurs are recognized by the Chinese government only as regional minority within a multicultural nation. The Uyghurs were always accused of a recent attack in the Urumqi city as terrorist and extremist ideology. So the picture over here shows a family that belongs to the Uyghur community. So we can see, the way they have dressed, their looks, etc. And recently, in 2009, there was a terror attack that happened in the city of Urumqi, and the Chinese officials and other majority communities have accused the hand of Uyghurs behind this attack. And the Chinese often see them as a terrorist group that always wage war or attacks against the Chinese government. Now let's talk about the main problem which is faced by the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs have been long checked at the Chinese control of the region, which has been an influx of ethnic Chinese migrants and an increase in restrictions on local language, culture, and religion. One more thing I forgot to mention is that, guys, just like how Tibet is an autonomous region, even Xinjiang has its own semi-autonomous area, which means they have a form of control or power over deciding and maintaining their internal matters. And over here, the Chinese government have kept a huge restriction on the language, culture, and the religion that is practiced by the Uyghurs. Minority groups in Xinjiang say they aren't given jobs or contracts because of the widespread racial discrimination and ban on growing beard. So over here, Chinese government is having a discrimination against the religion of Islam and also the specific traditions and practices that have been professed by the Uyghur community. The resentment has sometimes boiled over into violence, including attacks on police officers and civilians. In 2009, mostly Han Chinese were attacked in riots in Urumqi, the regional capital of Xinjiang. So, Han Chinese community is a traditional Chinese community that has been living, or that has been recently, they have shifted in a large form to relocate themselves into the Xinjiang province. And the Han community are mostly pro-Chinese, that they support the Chinese government. And there has been a conflict between the two communities, because of the culture mixing of all sort of problems that have been faced by these two communities over there. The China has begun carrying out an intensified campaign of repression, putting large number of Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other minority groups in re-education camp. The increased use of surveillance in the form of both high-tech facial recognition monitoring and traditional measures like police checkpoints surged in the region. Muslim women were banned to wear the traditional veil. China has also attempted to control the growth of Uyghur population, and researchers say it has used repressive methods such as forced sterilizations. So you can see over here, re-education camp means that the Chinese government are enrolling a lot of young youth and children of the Uyghur community to get them taught in the Chinese communist ideology, and also a way that they can avoid or ridicule the traditional teachings of Islam and also the Uyghur culture. And over here, the word meaning sterilization means a medical method of birth control that intentionally leaves a person incapable of reproducing. The methods include both surgical and non surgical, and which actually means that a method to stop or control the birth rate of Uyghur communities. Because once Uyghur communities are in small populations, the China government and even other communities can dominate the internal matters and the power of Xinjiang province. The large number of children in Xinjiang have been placed in boarding school designed to assimilate and indoctrinate them with Chinese communist ideology. The Chinese government carried out widespread destruction of mosques and shrines while turning others into tourist sites. Officials have held 1 million or more people in the internment camps in Xinjiang, the country's most sweeping mass detention program since the Mao era. A wide range of behavior can lead to detention, including acts of religious devotion, travel to certain countries, violation of birth restriction, or installing cell phone apps that allow encrypt messaging. So you can see over here, China is trying to eradicate the presence of Xinjiang over here, and even the Islam culture that they profess, because China doesn't want the Xinjiang province to be an independent country, like what the Uyghurs call it as East Turkestan, because the region, as I mentioned in the earlier slides, has a lot of economic value to China, and it serves as an area for the Belt Road Initiative project that China maintains to build around the globe. And there are a lot of cases like instance like religious devotion, traveling to certain areas, and the installing of other apps that are banned by the Chinese government can lead one person into imprisonment or into the training camps. Now let's see what is the Chinese response. The authorities at first deny the mass detention. Then they acknowledge what they call a vocational training program meant to curb terrorism, separatism, and religious extremism by giving people job skills and Chinese language training. So we can see another part of the controversy where Chinese government focuses themselves as a positive image, in where they at the beginning they deny of such mass detention, but then finally, they came with a point that the reason why they always detain or conduct such re-education camp for these Uyghur Muslim is the reasons for Chinese government to curb the terrorism of the radical Islam terrorist ideology that has been seen in the Uyghur community, and the separatist ideology, and also providing them with jobs and further inculcating them within the Chinese culture. You can see the picture over here. It's just a cartoon that shows the hypocrisy of China regarding the Uyghur issues. Yes, and how China is fooling the world into believing that whatever they say. Now, coming to the US and the global response. US has blamed the Chinese authorities in Xinjiang had committed crimes against humanity that include arbitrary imprisonment. Arbitrary matlab forced, like with force, imprisonment, forced sterilization, torture, forced labor, and draconian restrictions on freedom of religion, expression, and movement. The United States believes that the Chinese authorities have committed genocide because they had engaged in forced assimilation and eventual erasure of vulnerable ethnic and religious minority groups. The global response to the repression in Xinjiang has been relatively muted, an indication of China's global clout. Over the past year, the US has imposed sanctions on Chinese officials, companies, and government bodies operating in Xinjiang. This is just talks about how, because USA, as we know, is always a bitter enemy of the China and sees it as a force of communism and an force that could overthrow US as the supreme power. So the US has blamed China in the global forum that it has used a lot of brutal measures to eradicate the rights and the existence of the Uyghur community. But the other global community, like other countries, have been silent over this issue because China is one of the biggest trading partners of many countries and even the globe, and they constitute a lot of trade percentage within the global market. So, in fear of losing a great trading partner, many of the world economies have been silent over the issue. But only US has come to the forefront of blaming China. And USA has also imposed trade sanctions in China, which means that imposing a lot of tax on Chinese companies working in US and also in the Xinjiang province. Now we come to the last slide, which talks about the definition of genocide. The 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide, which has been ratified by at least 149 countries, including China. Genocide is defined as one of those acts committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, killing its members, causing them seriously bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions calculated to the cause of the group's physical destruction, imposing measures intent to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So, this is the formal definition of the word genocide. And the 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide is a charter that is signed by in the UN by around 149 countries. So, genocide is actually a massive humane violence, and it's an evil thing which is been condemned by the global community. So it involves like killing or a complete eradication of the community as such. And this the picture over here shows, it's a very famous picture in the internet that shows how the China is treating its Uyghur population in concentration camps, you know, forcing them to forbade or give up their own culture and religion and listening to the Chinese ideology and being obedient to the Chinese government. So that's all for today's video. I hope you guys had a good time watching the video and also attained a lot of knowledge regarding the Uyghur problem and the Chinese intervention in the matter. If you guys have any doubts regarding this video, please do comment in the comment section provided below. And if there is any sort of clarification to be made on my part, please do comment. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.